mean, I have a system for measuring, and we used to use it in the convenience store business, measure how high signs were. And so, you couldn't just run a ruler. Yeah, yeah. So you do it with a uniform height, like I take a 10-foot piece of PVC pipe, okay, and then you stand it up there, then you get back and you hold a ruler up, and if the 10-foot PVC pipe is 1 inch where you're holding your ruler, and your sign is 4 inches tall, you get a 40-foot tall sign. So you can do that with almost anything that you know exactly how tall it is.
Yeah. What is this to get a stick, 20-foot stick and put it straight?
Yeah, I mean, in my neighborhood, on my street, not the whole neighborhood, but on my street, it's 20 foot. So a 20-foot piece of PVC pipe with a T on the top, hold it up to the tree.
Well, I had an equally interesting measurement system for the tree Jose was referring to before. And I measured that tree at about 27 feet, the one that was taken out of the park. So that tree didn't really violate any covenants.
Not yet, no.
Well, but that's my point. When you say not yet, the fact is that it didn't violate any covenants. It could, it might, right?
Someday.
Until it violates covenants, it's not really anyone's business to say that tree has to come down.
That's correct. If it doesn't violate the covenant, other than if it's blocking your view and you're a good neighbor and you want to, you want to mutually agree to protect your views, then yeah, then it's.
I'm all for good neighbors, but the covenants are what we're talking about here, right?
Well, I'm talking about both.
But that's
Anybody can cut any
that's the
tree if
violation, is the view?
Yeah,
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, because it decreases property values.
Well, it's not a violation of the covenants to block somebody's view.
Right.
That's why I said you
That's
want to be a
city
good
thing.
neighbor and work with your neighbor to protect each other's view. You can sure cut down a tree at any size, but when we're talking about specifically trimming trees due to the covenants, that's a whole different story. And so measuring is going to be, critical. If there's a concern whether a tree meets that or not. But we'll talk about that when Jose's done here. We'll give Jose a chance.
I would like to say that since I'm one of the biggest violators right now, by the way, my contractor told me those trees are only going to grow 1 foot a year.
That's how long you've been here.
And I've been here 15 years, and those trees are 35, 40 feet
Well,
or something.
the first year when you plant a tree,
Yeah.
the first year you plant, they grow only like maybe 8 to 10 inches.
Oh.
But the second year is like 2 feet. After 5 years, the tree grow 5 or 6 years every year.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, so I forgot to ask him about the fourth and fifth and sixth year.
Yeah,
But I do want to say, Jose, I appreciated your bid when you came out and looked at my trees. I have to say, you'll come out, look at your trees, give you a bid, and trust me, it's a very, very good, very
yeah,
good bid.
a little bit know by trees because we planted a lot of trees for the reservation for 5 years. I don't know if you familiar with Hennigan Road to Linden. When you pass the bridge, right to the side, at the right-hand side, all these trees, the one in the close to the river, I planted those 10 years ago. And it's 15,000 trees. And it's like 18 varieties. All kinds of trees. It's hemlock, paper birch, cedar, spruce, novels, and maples, all kinds. And now it's like pretty easy, maybe 35 to 40 feet some trees. And 10 years. Yeah, it's pretty big.
And that's where we are. We have trees in the neighborhood that are now 15 years old.
Yeah.
And they're starting to reach that point where they need attention.
Yeah, well, actually, you gotta know, everyone's gotta tell me how far, what's the limit and how tall you want. Like, if the limit is 20 feet, he says, I want maybe 18, 16 feet, I can go down. Or if the limit is like 25, you say, I wanna go only 22, we can go 20, whatever you want. It's up to you.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for today?
I've got one thought, like on my trees, rather than trimming them down, I'm thinking of just cutting them off and replacing them with a small, slow growing, maybe blue spruce. The blue spruce doesn't grow very fast,
No,
does it?
1.5 foot,
Yeah.
1.5 foot.
Because if they're
for a
gonna
year.
grow, 1 foot the first year, 3 feet the second year, and 3 or 4 feet the next year, like, we're gonna have to spend $100, $200, whatever it is per tree, every couple of years to trim these darn things down. And they're never gonna look all that good when you start trimming. They're gonna look better, but I mean,
Yeah,
is my thinking sensible or not?
Yeah, my spruce is, I'm there 12 years, and it was in a bucket when I planted it, and it's, might be this tall, maybe a little bit taller, it might be
Yeah.
a few feet taller than I can reach.
That's a blue spruce?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
blue spruce.
yeah.
That's
that goes
kind of what
really
I'm
slow.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
Bob?
Yeah, I'd like the floor for a few minutes so I can give an alternative view of this whole issue. Okay.
Sure.
I wrote something, maybe you can just, I don't have enough for everybody, so maybe you can just kind of pass them around. I live 2 doors down from Mr. Kudich, and so I'll just read this statement that I have. By the way, the top of the tree is typically called a leader, or the apical meristem, and I think most arborists will tell you that if you, especially in the case of conifer trees, like firs or cedars, if you do top them, they're probably gonna die eventually, because it leaves a scar where the rain can directly go down into the tree, and it's probably gonna rot it out eventually. So, topping them it could be done, but the chances are not very good that the tree will have a long, healthy life. I'll just try to make this short. I'll just try to concentrate on the salient points here. When we first bought our house, it hadn't been finished yet, and we really liked the house, but we noticed that the one thing that detracted from it was the fact that it looked right into the family rooms, kitchens, and bedrooms of the houses immediately below us. Consequently, I think it was a few months after we moved in, we planted a line of trees, and they're all red cedar at the back of our lot, which we hope would eventually block the view onto our neighbors' homes and remove the feeling of inadvertently intruding into each other's privacy. Some of the other houses on the street below, which is North Heather, have planted trees, and next door to us as well, have the same effect of screening the window-to-window view that most of the other homes in the neighborhood don't have to contend with. I think most of the houses in the neighborhood on each street, either the front of the houses face each other, or it's the back of the front. In our case, it's the back of the houses below faces the back of our house, so we're just looking into each other's windows. We accept the value that the covenants bring to the neighborhood. I served on the board for 4+ years. During that time, all the issues I was involved in and aware of, I don't recall anybody bringing tree heights to our attention. I now realize I was either in a state of denial or assumed the other residents in the neighborhood could see the privacy issues that the houses situated like ours had to face. However, covenants are covenants, so we respectfully ask the board and the community at large to consider the following. The covenants have a somewhat of a boilerplate aspect to them. I got a feeling that those covenants were probably written decades before Woodside was built. We don't think they anticipated issues such as the concerns some residents had, and these might go back farther than some of you are aware of. Had about Northridge Park and the community park in regard to their design and access, the Chandler McLeod median maintenance issues with the city, the dish antennas envisioned at the time the covenants were written versus the ones attached to so many homes now, among many other issues that have concerned the board and homeowners over the years. On the other hand, dealing with these issues is why we have the WCA and a board of directors that deserve our respect and our support for dedicating their time and effort to address such predicaments. rather than putting teeth into the covenant rules about tree heights and potential discord created amongst the many homeowners with trees that now or will violate the covenants, we would request that consideration be given to whether the covenants might be, if not amended, then at least interpreted to recognize situations in the neighborhood where variances might be warranted, especially in cases where the privacy that the trees afford will, we think, actually serve to have a positive impact on the Woodside neighborhood property values. Regardless of how this is decided, I thank all of you for your efforts and work for the community and wish you happy holidays and a peaceful new year. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lou.
Okay, so, just so Jose doesn't have to sit through all of our meeting, let's see if we can, if we have any other questions for him, or, his information will be on our website, so that's no problem, if you just wanna have him come by and take a look.
Do you do tree removal and stump grinding?
Yeah. And also I got Hemlock and Douglas, Hemlock and Douglas, and Noble, like from 8 to 12 feet tall also. I can transport it.
Are we talking here, I'm sorry, about the trees that line the street?
No, but we will talk about that. But we're talking about the opportunity. Jose's offered some discounts to our neighbors if they want to use his service, to kind of group them together. So if you had 4 neighbors that wanted to do it, you could do them all together and get a better rate than doing them one at a time. And we did, just for the record, Ron worked really, really hard to get competitive bids for doing private property trees, and there just were no other takers for that opportunity. No one saw the value in coming through the neighborhood to get a bid on what it might cost to do trees. That doesn't mean that another tree company wouldn't give you a great deal. That just means that nobody came forward, and Jose did, so we appreciate that. Anything else for Jose? Nope. Okay. All right, Jose, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so, everybody's
Oh,
got,
Bob, could we follow up with Lyle's comments for just a second?
do you want to do
Yeah,
that first?
since we're
and
on
then
the
do
trees
meeting
right now, and
after?
you raised a good point.
Okay, okay, yeah,
I
I
don't
would
mean
just,
to interrupt you, but we do want to get out of here on time, but
Yep.
I think it's worthy to come back, because at least as one of the homeowners in a violation where people above us, our trees are blocking their views of the bay. So that's one piece. There's also some neighbors up higher above us whose trees are blocking people above them. So that's where this whole thing started. I think if, at least in the board will have to discuss your comments later, which I think are very well taken. These are very well said, and I want you to know they're very well taken. Because we had not really talked about if somebody loses their privacy, that would then could be a devaluation of property or something. So we have to go back and rethink some of those things too. So, and also too, I think what we're talking about here is not trying to legislate, but rather to try to say we're getting at least some of the upper streets, or there's trees like mine, which I didn't realize, which are getting a little bit out of hand. So what we're doing is trying to find a way to make this available for those that would choose to want to get some trimming done, and by doing it together as a community, we will get a better price from the tree trimmers. So that's all that amounts to. So I don't know that, and if there is somebody like me, I mean, the board was very nice to let me know one board meeting, Dick, you know, your trees are out of compliance. And I think it had to do not necessarily with the strict rules of the covenants, but rather too with neighbors that are saying, hey, you know, this is getting unruly. So I think we need to take in, again, considerations of how, you know, we want to be good neighbors to each other. And if in your case, I think that needs, you know, I think you raise a good point. And so we'll have to see where we go with that.
I'm curious. I have a question.
I think we have to recognize too that there's legal implications here too. We have got covenants in place. And if, say Dick's tree, for instance, blocks somebody's view, and he's not willing to cut it down, and it devalues can't see the bay anymore. I mean, I can sue Dick and I can sue the board for loss of value and lack of, so I mean, the board has to be responsible to enforce the covenants that we have in place. I mean, it's, you know.
I'm curious though, Dick, did you have any formal complaints?
They came into the board. I don't know, they didn't tell me who complained.
But that should be on record, right?
I don't know.
It's not likely this complaint's on record since they told me not to tell Dick who it is. But that's because it's informal. It's not a formal complaint, and I'll tell you why. Currently, the covenants do not have any punitive damages or enforcement ability. We have no enforcement ability to enforce anybody to keep their trees within the boundaries of the covenants, okay? There's nothing that says that we can fine you or do anything about it. All it says is you're required per the covenants to keep your trees within a certain height. And so if that goes between two neighbors and he says, you know, neighbor A says neighbor B is blocking my view with their tree, and I'm gonna take you to small claims court because now you've diminished the value of my house, and the small claims court says, you know, show me the covenants. We can show the covenants and we can interpret the covenants because we're the board, so we'll interpret the covenants, and that's as far as we can go. We have no judicial ability to say you're in breach of the covenants and therefore, you know, there's some kind of punitive damage. So there's nothing we can do, there's nothing that says we can force anybody to cut a tree down or trim them.
I guess the counter would be pretty, I would think that the guys had to trim those trees for it to value their property rights, their home is beautiful.
Yeah, I know, I always thought of that too, but you know, when I walk up above and look down thinking, oh yeah, and then when I look down to the views we used to have and see our neighbor's trees, three doors down or wherever it is, and now it's blocking our views and it's blocked out the entire Olympic mountain range, I'm saying, hey, how come you don't cut your tree? So then I have to look in the mirror and say, well, so it's just a matter of, I don't know, just basic upkeep and trimming, and if there's enough neighbors involved that we can get several of them cut at once and everybody gets a better price. So we're not trying to come across, you know, no. So anyway, the board was nice to me, and I think I was the first one to start taking it seriously when Ron said maybe we could get some bids and stuff. But I do think that it's especially the upper streets that we probably need to pay attention to and just be alert. And you know, there's some neighbors that cut their bushes down better on a regular basis and some that don't, you know, but you know, at what point do we need to say, hey, have you ever thought of, we can get a group price for having all the bushes trimmed in one week or something? I don't know. There's just ways of trying to work together.
A couple people have asked for group abilities so that there be a discount. And there have been people comment about the trees, and we bring it to the board.
That did not start with me, by the way.
I'm sorry.
The covenants have always presented a similar kind of interesting interpretation problems. The covenants specifically say that no antenna dishes are allowed in the neighborhood. But in reference to Lyle's comment, they were written so long ago that antennas for TVs used to be like airport things and needed acreage, really. And so a complaint was filed to the board, and the board reviewed the complaint and decided that maybe we're going to interpret this currently rather than perhaps as written. And so you'll notice there's a few people that have antennas. And so in Lyle's case, I would suggest, because the people down below who might lose their privacy without having any idea that this issue is even an issue, maybe Lyle and his neighbor could work this out and let them decide, let the neighbors decide so that the board doesn't have to get involved. If Dick wants to cut his tree down because he's the greatest guy on the planet, wow, this is no comment on what a great guy you are. But I'm just saying, maybe the people whose privacy will disappear will be very upset to hear this. So I would give Lyle and his neighbor a chance to work it out.
I think that's the first place that has to take place, simply because the board has no judicial ability. So it's neighbor to I've been down there, they built a new theater. I mean, that big, what used to be a big field full of deer. It is now a theater. And so, you know, if you want to hear people complain about the new neighbor, talk to neighbors about the theater. And there are people that live 2 blocks away that can see the sign, because nobody told them the sign would be taller than the building, and that they'd be able to see neon lights from their back windows. So, you know, the thing is all of these things that they're complaining about were on paper and planned at the time they bought their house and they built their houses. So you make a choice when you buy or build to live in a neighborhood. If you buy on a slope in view property, you know what's there when you buy. And if you buy a house where you're looking into your neighbor's windows when you buy your house, you should investigate before you buy, how am I going to prevent this? Well, unfortunately, it wasn't legal to plant trees that will grow more than 20 feet. So if you needed more than 20 feet to block the view of your neighbor's window, you've already breached the covenants when you plant that. So, you know, I mean, it's a sticky situation. It is. Yeah.
But also each of us, when we bought our houses, we signed papers and we agreed to abide by what we were signing.
That's my question. I don't recall the wording of the covenant exactly, but my recollection was that it said that you shouldn't plant something potentially to go over the house, potentially go over that amount. So that shapes our choice of what we put in the trees that are.
Well, some of us did,
Part of what was.
Gary's
It
correct.
doesn't just say, don't let the trees grow over that amount, they say, don't cut trees that are going to grow over that amount.
Right. Now, keep in mind, the builder also didn't follow the covenants by the word.
Which is the guy who wrote the covenant.
Exactly.
The coincidence is that the same guy, yeah, so it's an interesting.
Well, I mean, he's a developer, but the builder himself is the one who, you know, went down to Lowe's and said, give me all the stuff that's dying, I want to build a house.
Now, my builder told me my trees wouldn't be more than about 10 to 15 feet.
Right.
Oh,
So, but anyway, the point is that, yeah, the covenants were there when they moved in, and the slope was there, and their neighbor's house was there, and the anticipation that you could plant a tree and let it block the view, if, you know, I mean, you have regulations to follow when you make that decision.
Another thing too, is the builder, and I really have to double check this, but I believe they were, required a lien testimony when they
forcing, options on people. Let's get the covenants current and see how we can fix the problems that everyone appreciates without, because the covenants are old, you are right, they're probably written in the eighties.
Well, and again, you know, I'd like to take credit for saying they were old, I didn't say that, but a few other people did, so that's great. Covenants probably are old. I think views and trees and the, home value, all of that stuff, probably hasn't changed much since the covenants were written. I mean, if we had covenants that said things about technology, like some of the other things we wanna talk about, which is email and that kind of thing, sure, our covenants don't express anything about that, so they need to be updated. But I don't think the whole philosophy on views and home values has changed much since the covenants were written.
We probably ought to start the meeting.